So I've recently been on a little train of triples, having ridden this, and with a new triple sport bike coming around the corner, I thought it would be an amazing time to visit the OG Super Sport with a triple, the Triumph Daytona 675. But this one's R. On paper, this thing's basically undefeated with 124 horsepower, a crazy class-leading 53 foot-pounds of torque, and a wet weight. I repeat, a wet weight of 407 pounds. This thing was a serious beast, and I highly doubt we will ever see anything this light in this class ever again. What do you feel when you first hop on this bike compared to a modern or a more mature 600 class? The very first thing I notice is this bike is narrow for a 600cc Super Sport. It is not wide at all, and obviously there is one cylinder missing compared to a 600cc inline 4. This is a 675 triple, and you can feel it, just like the slenderness and the side of the tank where I'm looking down at right here. The bars on this bike feel very wide because the bike is just a little bit more in there, and that lightweightness, that 400 pounds, 407 pounds of this bike, you feel it even here, man. I've gotten 25 miles an hour and it is light and nimble and easy, and you can tell that there's 40 pounds less on this bike even compared to that thing right there, which is a ZX6R. You can tell. And right here, cruising middle speed, 40 miles an hour, third gear, kind of just chilling. You get a little feel from the engine. I can tell it's running, I can tell it's doing its thing, but there's no buzzing in my feet, there's no buzzing in the tank, there's no buzzing in the bars. It's kind of like on the frame of the bike that you can tell that the engine's running, but it's more of a character thing. It doesn't take away from the experience in any way, shape, or form. It's not overly buzzy to where it's annoying. It's kind of just like a nice little hum, like you can feel the symphony of the engine is the easiest way to describe it. And how does it feel like to ride around in town with a relatively small, lightweight sport bike like this? And taking off at slow speed, this thing is light literally everywhere, as far as handling, as far as turning, but it has a light clutch lever, the brake lever is easy to pull, the rear brake lever is easy to pull, the throttle doesn't seem to have a lot of resistance or weight when you give it a turn. And this bike, being a 675 triple, has a little bit more torque and a little bit more lower end torque than a traditional 600 like the Ninja over there behind me. As I give it a little teeny tiny bit of throttle, it feels like it moves very nicely, 3,000, 4,000 RPM, which on a 600 is basically no man's land. On this bike is fairly usable. I can get up to traffic speeds and I do not need to touch 6,000 RPMs. And it feels like it's fairly smooth, man. Everything on this bike is light and easy. I am so impressed with this thing. Damn, man. Bouncing back and forth on this bike feels so easy because it's light. So your body inputs make a difference. This is me moving the bike with my body, no bar inputs. And the bike is receptive to body inputs and bar inputs at the same time, which is actually pretty impressive. Most bikes, when you try to move with your body, they're kind of like stable. This bike, you can move it with your body and you can put the bar inputs in. So you can really flick this thing around like it's nobody's business. This right here, whoop. Oh, and it flips over so, oh man, dude, this bike is good. Oh, this bike is good. I like it. It's so light, man. This is like a track weapon. Oh, this is a cheat mode on the track because you could literally just like, this bike flicks so easily. Oh, as we go through this roundabout, nice and easy. Oh man, look at that, dude. And it's just like up and over. Oh. The transition from side to side on this bike is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, it's really good. And sitting here, it's a true sport bike position, right? The seating position kind of looks like this. This is the seating position on the bike. Again, I'm 5'10", 32-inch inseam. It is pretty traditional to what you get on a 600cc sport bike. When you tuck knees to elbows, but it is still a little bit more slender, so you're a little bit more relaxed in the legs because it's a narrow bike. but seating position overall is traditional to a Super Sport. And this is the 675R. And that R means Öhlins TTX monoshock in the back and these 43 millimeter Öhlins front forks, and they handle like, for some reason on this bike, this shock and these forks have a refinement, a level of plushness. It's crazy. There's like a very soft, it's like it has two springs, a soft spring and a hard spring, because it's still as firm and as hard as a traditional 600, but the little teeny bumps, this thing seems to absorb. There's like a level, like a small cloud, a cushion at the very, very top where all the little bumps kind of seem to get buttoned up, and it feels like it's a plush, smooth ride. But when you get into the big bumps or when you get into the turns, it actually has, it's firm, it's stable. It's a hard suspension that's able to push, and it's able to flesh out all of those tiny, tiny little bumps. Like, this is grade A suspension. The suspension on this bike is plush and firm at the same time. And that's not something that you get from, let's just say, factory Showa big forks, because you either get the firmness or you get the plush, but you can't get both. This has both. That is crazy. That is very, very impressive. It's not something I expected to feel when I first got on this bike, but I don't even know how to explain it. It's just refined, it's plush, but it's still firm, it's still stable. This is a good suspension setup. I like it. But being the R, that's not the only thing. You also get fancy carbon rear hugger, carbon fiber right here on the inner fairing and surrounding the dash cowl. It feels premium when you compare it to a standard 600. It feels like this is a better quality, better refined, better material motorcycle. You got the carbon fiber down here, you got the nice aluminum. If you look at this triple, it is like there's nothing there. It really just holds the forks on either end, and it's like hollow here, so they're using minimal material everywhere, which is how this bike is literally like 40 pounds lighter. Well, not 40, but it's like 20 pounds lighter than the Ninja at a wet weight. This is a wet weight of 407. That is substantial. You can feel it, man. That is crazy. You would think that like a difference of 20 pounds or 30 pounds, you wouldn't really be able to notice in terms of like, there's a person that can make a 20 or 30 pound difference on a bike, but this thing being this light, man, just the on center steering is nice. It's easy, it tracks back and forth, it sets like, it's so interesting, man. This is a freaking good bike. And then flip, man. You can toss this bike around, bro. You can just send it how, where, when you want to, and just like flick it. Oh man. The side-to-side transition on this, is actually fairly decent. One thing that I never expected on a motorcycle, which is pretty interesting, is nice genuine leather seats. They stopped using genuine leather like this on vehicles. I believe it was like 2008 or 2010. All of the Japanese stuff has this fibery material, but this is genuine leather, and it is a nice soft padded seat. This is a great seat for a 600 Super Sport. Honestly, they don't make them like this anymore. Brembo caliper in the back. Let's ignore this aero exhaust for now. 4-piston Brembo calipers times 2 with this size rotor up front, and they stop like, oh, they stop. Okay. Woo! The rear brakes have a good amount of bite. You can stop, you can use the rear brakes if you're trying to go low speed stuff and handle the bike. The front brakes have a tiny bit of sponge at the front end, but they grab really, really nicely. And as soon as they got a firm grab, it's like just dive and stop. So you have a little bit of modulation at the front, and then very, very, very hard braking after that, and you can use it. They stick, they stop. This bike is really light, and it stops like it's really light, which means it's very, very good stopping power. And the wind protection, I didn't even talk about the wind protection. It's blocking everything up to like here. So it's actually pretty good. It's not bad. It's good for a sport bike. And it's funny because this screen looks really short, but it's blocking just as much as my ZX6 double bubble does, but it's not as tall. So it's actually a really, really good screen. As far as tech is concerned, this bike has a pretty decent amount of it. Obviously the Öhlins set up for the forks and the shock. It has ABS, traction control. Those are a couple things that you can't see. And from this side, you have that nice LCD display. Comparatively speaking to modern bikes, it's not the brightest, but you can see it and there's no obstructions, there's no glare. You have temperature, you have fuel gauge, you have your trip information, you have your speedo, and you have what I love, which is a nice analog dash that you can actually see the needles moving and the needles dancing. From here, we have Brembo master cylinder, we have start, kill switch on this side, high-low, turns, horn, and the passing light. So not much in terms of button, but it does still have all the electronics built in. And part of the tech package with the 675R is this Quickshifter right here, which as you're out riding, feels like the Quickshifter at the low end actually feels the same as at the top end. It's not the greatest Quickshifter. There's like a little notchiness in the shift and right when you put it into gear, but the Quickshifter overall on this bike isn't bad. There is no auto blip and down, it's just the up Quickshifter, but it feels pretty good. And even at the low end, like right here, there's just a tiny bit of notchiness, but you get that at the top too. So it's just a slightly notchy shifter. It doesn't snag, doesn't snap, it just has a little confirming clack when you get it into that gear, and that's what I'm calling notchiness. But it's overall a good Quickshifter. Quickshifter at the top end, it just goes, it's smooth, it's powerful, it shifts. Actually, kind of like this. Second gear 50. This bike just takes it, man. I like it. Oh man, I like this bike. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. I want one. I need a Triumph triple. Oh man. Hey guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Help me get a Triumph Speed Triple 1050. That's what I want. That's what I want to ride next. I need you guys to do it. Hit that subscribe button so I can get there. Man, this is a good bike. Engine. This 675 triple, like I said at the beginning of the video, 124 horsepower, 53 foot-pounds of torque. And it makes awesome power in the middle, kind of like. And while I have no choice but to go slow here, this engine at the low end is pretty peppy, pretty responsive. Like even here, 5,000 RPMs, we're going 36 miles an hour in second gear. I have really good power on tap. It's enough to push me back. There's a lot of torque down low. This bike has 56-ish foot-pounds of torque, which is more than a 600. But even at these really slow speeds, I mean, like here, we're in fifth gear, under 4,000 RPM, 40 miles an hour, and it starts gaining speed. Of course, it's not the power band, but it is pretty peppy down low, man. The slow end, the low speed, the slow speed, the low RPMs on this bike are pretty good. It's a pretty punchy power band, and from here it revs out to like 15,000. We'll see how close we can get to that. I have not felt the top end of this engine. I haven't, but it's nice, it's good, it's quiet. 5,000 RPMs, it's tame. I can't hear it too much, but as soon as you get into the throttle, it opens up. So I'm gonna be quiet for a second, let you guys hear what it sounds like. Let's go to fourth gear at 4,000. Quiet, can't hear it, and then open up. You guys should be able to hear that sound difference when you start getting into the rev range and you start opening the throttle. So this bike is quiet and refined and nice and easy on the low end, but it's powerful at the top and you can hear the exhaust note. Actually, it kind of sounds like, hopefully you guys could hear that and it sounds good. But if it wasn't good enough, listen to this. But how does it scream? 600s are top end screamers. Can a triple that revs slightly less but makes a little bit more low down torque keep up with it? Is it good enough? How does it feel at the top? So how's the power through the middle of the power band? We're gonna catch up to the cars in front of us, see how it accelerates through the middle, second gear, 30 miles an hour. Let's... Dude, that's linear. That's a linear power band, linear build, smooth, no drama, no frills. It just does it. That was about 30–40% throttle, and it just accelerates effortlessly. All of this in the middle right here, no drama. The mid-range power band on this bike is solid. It has great torque, great pickup. Never at any point that I feel like I needed more RPMs to keep it going. You can go really nicely, really easily, not a lot of throttle input, and get the job done. Whereas on a traditional 600, you got to use a lot of throttle to get it to happen. This does a lot more with a lot less throttle. Wow, that mid-range is good on this triple. 6th gear, 4,000, just pin it. That's pin. Yeah, it has good acceleration. It really does. That's impressive, man. I like it. Power. 2nd gear, 35 miles an hour over this bridge with no speed limit. Oh yeah. That is aggressive at the top. That's aggressive, man. Okay, so the difference between the low RPM power and the top RPM power isn't as drastic as on a 600. It's really, really good, but it still builds, it's still sharp, it's still powerful, but it has a good amount of top end. This triple really fills the gap that the 600s don't have between the low end and the top end differential. It is really, really smooth, really linear, but it's good, man. It's good. I like the top end on this bike. Final thoughts on the Triumph Daytona 675R. This is a top tier 600 package. There's not a 600, there's not a Japanese 600 on the market that can compete with this bike. This bike is lighter, it's more narrow, it has more power, more torque, more usable power. Being the R, it has more premium suspension in the Olin suspension, the Brembo brakes. Like, this is top tier 600. This is the Panigale of 600s. Obviously, Triumph doesn't compete in that super premium market, but with this bike it did, and it dominated. This is a great, great machine. I like it. I'm gonna go have some more fun now. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see another triple from Triumph, check out this video right here.